How do you do? I'm Wab Kinew, and I'm running to be your premier because I want to make life more affordable here in Manitoba. But I also want to go a step further than just making life more affordable. I want to make a concrete commitment to you, the people of Manitoba, that our political approach is going to be summed up in 3 words. No more games. And I'll explain what I mean by that. No more games. So you, the people of Manitoba, you work super hard. And during this period of high inflation, what has that meant? It's meant that you've had to take more overtime hours. It's meant that you'd had to take out lines of credit. You had to talk to the bank or credit union about how you're going to make do during this period of record inflation. People my age, we've never seen inflation at this level before. And we've been crying out for help. You watch those bills pile in each month, as you see the numbers change in your bank account, you see the credit card ticking up, the overtime hours taking a toll on you, you know that you work hard. And yet, have you seen a government that matches your commitment? I would say not at the provincial level. You have Heather Stephenson and the PCs, they keep playing games with Ottawa. They want to talk about the carbon tax time and time again, and yet there is a provincial tax that they've been charging you, the hardworking people of Manitoba, every single day. The provincial gas tax. And so, yeah, I believe that Heather Stephenson and the PCs are playing games. They say that the federal government should take action to make gasoline prices more affordable, and yet they keep taxing you each and every day at the pump. How does that impact the person who needs to drive to work in the morning? The person who needs to drive around on their job like the home care worker? What about the people working landscape? The people working construction? The people have to drive 50 or 100 kilometers on the way into work each day and then drive home. Where's the help for them? What has the provincial PC party done for any of those folks? So, my commitment to you, the people of Manitoba here today, is simple. No more games. No more political games. That's why I'm very proud to be here today to announce that if our team wins this year's election, the Manitoba NDP is going to cut the provincial gas tax and save you 14 cents a litre every single time you fill up at the pump. Now, I don't know about you, but our household, the workhorse that we use to drive to work, to drive the kids to their activities, it's a pickup truck, and it takes 100 liters to fill up every time we go to the pump. That means that this announcement, for a family using a vehicle like yours, it'll save you $14 every single time you gas up. I know there are many families out there, business people, who also rely on pickups or cars or other vehicles in order to get to work. If you're somebody who's part of a landscaping crew who needs to drive to work in the morning and you're paying out of pocket, this announcement is going to save you money. If you're one of those home care workers who's been banging on the table for the past year, demanding a mileage increase, this announcement is going to help you. If you're a commercial fisher who needs to use a boat to pull a net so that you can put food on the table for you and your family, this announcement is going to help you. And I totally understand when working people get frustrated with politicians and they feel like this level of government's pointing fingers at that level of government and that level of government's threatening to go to court to fight another level. No more games. We're going to deliver the help that you and your family need, and we're going to do it right now. And that's why today we're announcing a cut to the provincial gas tax. And we'll keep this cut in place so long as inflation remains high. Now, I also want to say this. We're just, I think we'd all agree summer's too short in Manitoba.
Yeah.
We're coming up within a few weeks of the last long weekend of summer. What's going to happen to the gas prices right before you take off for the long weekend? We know what happens. Every single long weekend, the gas prices go up without fail. You could set your clock to it, how predictable this is. And is it because the oil prices have gone up? No. It's because there's big companies out there that know that you're going to need to gas up your car before you enjoy the last bit of a too short summer here in the province, and they're trying to take advantage of you. So in addition to announcing that we're going to cut the gas tax so long as inflation remains high here in Manitoba to give you a break of 14 cents a litre at the pump, the Manitoba NDP is also committing that we're going to use that period where we cut the provincial gas tax to bring in new regulations on the price of gasoline to protect you, the consumer, from price gouging, price fixing, and from being taken advantage of by big companies from other provinces that want to charge you more money for something that you need in order to go about your day-to-day life and in order to work your jobs. Now, this regulatory regime will be overseen by the Public Utilities Board, and it will ensure that these arbitrary increases in price, such as the one that I'm sure we're going to see right before Labor Day this year, are prevented. And we're going to put this thing into place to ensure that you, the people of Manitoba, get real relief. This is a sound plan. This is one that is consistent with our approach on the climate, and it's one that working people in Manitoba have been hungering for these past many months that we've been suffering under high inflation. And I would just love to see Heather Stephenson explain why she has refused to cut the gas tax while people in Manitoba have been suffering, while businesses in Manitoba have been getting the impact here. And so, yeah, I'm sure this new approach is one that is going to be welcomed by the average person who needs to commute to work, but the average business person too. And here I'm not just talking about a big business, I'm talking about the small business. The person who puts their name on the side of a pickup truck and starts putting people to work in our community. I'm talking about the people who do the roofing, who do the renos, who do the landscaping, who do the construction projects in our communities. You as business owners are going to benefit from this as we make the cost of doing business more affordable. And so we know that this scrapping of the gas tax during the period of high inflation is going to help the small business owner and help the average person here in Manitoba. In this way, we're going to protect consumers, and we're also going to hold big companies accountable. And I'll tell you what, if you don't see these savings being passed on to you, the consumer, whether at the pump or at the grocery store with these big chains, then the Manitoba NDP will take action, and we will ensure that you see the savings. So, during this period of high inflation, as a leader of a party that's all about working people in Manitoba, I'm very proud to commit that should our team form government, we're going to cut the provincial gas tax, and we're going to bring in a strong piece of regulation that protects you, the consumer, from price gouging at the pump. Super happy to be making this announcement with our team today, because I believe this is a very, very important part of how we can make life better together.
Okay. My name is Alana Duchak. Life is getting so expensive. The cost of gas is really starting to hurt my family. My daily commute every day is 25 minutes each way. That's a lot of money just to get to work. With cold weather just around the corner, we will be running the cars a lot longer, costing so much more at the pump. I'm also a mom, with kids going to school 15 minutes drive away. Extracurriculars now have to be treated as a luxury because gas is so expensive. Unplanned but necessary trips aren't as easy to make happen anymore. And honestly, there are days where I feel like I have to choose between putting gas in my car and eating a meal. If gas prices were cheaper, I'd be able to afford better food for my family, be able to take my kids out more, and even just say yes to the things that they want to do and have.
Awesome. Right on. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. So I'm happy to take any questions that folks may have.
How much will this cost?
So we're looking at budgeting about $165 million for the period that we're talking about. Again, we're looking at a range here. You talk to business leaders in Manitoba, they think that maybe there's some hope on the horizon that inflation's going to come down in the new year. But our point is that Manitobans need help right now. So if we're looking at a 6-month time period for this initiative, it'd be $165 million. And obviously that would change commensurate to the time period we're talking about. Should it be a 12-month time period, then we'd be talking about a larger amount than that.
So you're planning 6 months ahead first for this?
I would say we're planning for a 6 to 12-month range, and the costing number that I'm giving you is for the 6-month side of that range. Yeah. Oui, la cote, le montant, oui, ça serait 165 millions de dollars par 6 mois. Et pour nous, il y a beaucoup de leaders dans la scène économique qui dit que peut-être l'année prochaine, on verra des changements pour une vie plus abordable. Mais notre point, c'est que les peuples dans le Manitoba ont besoin de l'aide maintenant. Alors pour les prochains 6 mois, 12 mois, on serait là avec ce plan pour couper les impôts sur l'essence, mais en même temps, on lancera une approche pour régler les prix d'essence ici dans le Manitoba. Yeah, I think that's something that we're going to work on with economic leaders and Manitobans. I think we all know inflation's high right now, and that's why Manitobans need help. Well, I think the starting point for these sort of conversations is that the target rate for inflation is typically between 1% and 3%. We're above 3% right now, and that's why Manitobans need help.
So if it was under 3%, would you cancel this? Would you return the gas tax?
I think we'd have to look at what's going on with interest rates too. Your car note, your mortgage, good luck right now. I really feel for people who are feeling the crunch. And I think we take the decision based on the economic indicators that I'm talking about, but also, do we have that new regulatory regime that we're proposing in place to ensure that price gouging at the pump is going to be prevented here in Manitoba? And I'll say to the PCs and Heather Stephenson out there, you failed to take action to cut the gas tax in Manitoba, and I dare you to block legislation to regulate gas prices in Manitoba, because Manitobans need help right now, and the Manitoba NDP is going to deliver it.
Are you worried by those? You mentioned that gas tends to increase in long weekends. Are you suggesting that our companies are doing unfair practices that would travel?
We will never find a smoking gun to prove that, but I think we all see what happens. And what we can say with a great degree of confidence is that the market is failing Manitobans right now. Manitobans are being taken advantage of. When you see the price of oil maintain a steady rate, but the gas price at the pump spikes before a long weekend, the free market is failing you. And so the government needs to take action to save you money. And that's what we're planning for here today. We're going to save you money immediately should we take office by cutting the gas tax. And then over the long-term years to come, we're going to put in a new pricing regime to help ensure that we prevent price gouging here in Manitoba. Pardon?
Will you have to go to the pub to do that? Like they've done with natural gas?
No, actually. So there are examples of this happening primarily in provinces to the east of us. And basically what happens is that the regulator, in this case the Public Utilities Board in Manitoba, sets a maximum range for what can be charged at the pump. And so that's what we'd be looking to bring in here. And basically it would mean over the course of a year, as the wholesale oil prices fluctuate, there's stability for the consumer. But we can look at other jurisdictions for a model on how to implement this here. The bottom line is we need to prevent price gouging, and the clearest example of price gouging at the pump that we see is about to happen heading into the Labor Day long weekend. And so we're going to save you money should we win the election, first by cutting the gas tax, and then second by bringing in regulation to help keep prices more affordable when it comes to gasoline and diesel. We'll work with the Public Utilities Board and the community to establish a benchmark that makes sense for this part of the country. Yes. Oh, yes. I definitely want to take action to make grocery prices more affordable. And we are going to have more to say about that as we get closer to Election Day. But today's announcement about cutting the gas tax should help at the grocery store as well. If we cut the price of gasoline, the price of diesel, that cuts on transportation costs. And that's what these big grocers, these big chains around the country, they've been saying that's the culprit. They've been pointing the finger at the gasoline and diesel prices. We're going to take that excuse away. And if they don't pass the savings on to you, we will take action. And we will ensure that there will be savings for you, not just at the pump, but also at the grocery store. Alors, chez les magasins, les grandes compagnies ont toujours dit qu'il y a des raisons pour les prix élevés. C'est le prix d'essence. Bien, avec cette annonce aujourd'hui, nous enlèverons cette raison. Et puis, si nous ne voyons pas une réduction dans les prix chez les magasins, nous prendrons plus d'actions pour livrer d'appui chez vous, les peuples du Manitoba. It's an important question, and I'm glad that you asked it. This plan will not increase emissions. Now, if we want to think back to our first year economics courses, and I say that with a bit of a smirk because most people probably don't want to think back to their first year economics courses, gasoline is price inelastic relative to demand. What does that mean translated into normal English? What that means is over the course of a 6 or 12 month period, people are going to be using the same car or truck that they're using today. They are going to be living the same distance from work that they do today. And so people are still going to be using the same amount of gasoline over a 6 to 12 month time period. The only difference is, are we going to save you money, or are we going to hit you in the pocketbook as Heather Stephenson and the PCs have been doing? And what we're saying right now is we need to save you money during this period of high inflation. I don't think there are many people in Manitoba to whom the climate means more than it does to me and to our team. But here is the number one threat to real action on climate change. The number one threat to us achieving real action on climate change is that we lose the working class. And right now, because of high inflation, we are at risk of losing support for climate initiatives because the working class feels too much pressure, too much stress. People feel like they can't keep their heads above water, even though they're working overtime, even though they're borrowing money from the bank. And unless we deliver that relief that I'm talking about today, we're going to lose a generation of action on climate at the time at which we can least afford it. So this investment, this help on affordability today is absolutely crucial for us to be able to meet our climate goals. Because if we want working people to come along, or if you want to call that a just transition or whatever term you want to use, we have to ensure that working people believe that we're on their side with their jobs, with their way of life. And so this announcement that we're making here today is part of our cohesive plan that would give you help today so that you can buy in and say, you know what, the Manitoba NDP, who do believe in climate action, they are on my side, they do understand my way of life, and they are going to protect my job.
But if gas is cheaper, people will that they don't need to do, but they want to do. That in turn would increase emissions in some individuals.
No, I encourage you to talk to economic leaders, and they will tell you that gasoline is price inelastic relative to demand, which again, as I just walked you through there, the determinants of how much gas is going to be consumed over the next year in Manitoba, it's already locked in. So the only thing that we're going to decide is, are we going to allow working people to catch a breather right now, or are we going to keep squeezing them, as Heather Stephenson and the PCs have been doing? And so again, under this plan, emissions will not go up. But I do hope that public support for our overall suite of climate initiatives will increase, because we're sending a message to you, the people of Manitoba, that we understand, and we're going to give you some help. No more games. We're going to help you right now during your time of need. Oui. Le changement climatique, c'est un grand défi. Et puis notre équipe est prête d'engager et puis aider aux Manitobains et Manitobaines. Mais un des défis le plus large vis-à-vis le changement climatique est que ceux qui travaillent dans cette province vont lâcher de ce plan climatique. Alors, si on veut que les peuples dans notre province appuient un plan climatique, on doit les aider. On doit livrer plus d'aide pour rendre une vie abordable maintenant, pour qu'ils verront que oui, notre équipe sommes avec vous. Et puis, on t'aide maintenant. Peut-être on va avoir cette connexion pour les prochaines étapes de ce plan-là, pour lutter contre le changement climatique. So this is part of our platform, which is fully costed and delivers balance within a first term of a Manitoba NDP government. When we're talking about this amount here, we can budget for it out of the contingency funds within government right now, and this is a role that government should be doing. Nobody my age has ever seen inflation like this. People need help right now to get through this economic moment. This is what government has to do. Government is supposed to step in during periods of crisis so that we can work together to get to the other side. And this moment in which we're in a climate emergency and we need to keep working people on board with the future steps we need to take to address global warming, I would argue is probably one of the most pressing times in which a government needs to step in to take action to help you, the people of Manitoba. And so we've considered all angles of this plan, from the economic and job side to the climate and emissions impact. And at the end of the day, the right thing to do is to help you, the people of Manitoba, get a little bit of help during a period of high inflation by saving 14 cents a litre every time you gas up. Key difference between us and the PCs is that Heather Steffen and her team are hypocrites. They want to talk about court cases against the carbon tax at the same time that they're charging you 14 cents a litre at the pump. If they really believed in making life more affordable, they would have cut the gas tax a year or more ago. But they're playing games. They think they can slice and dice the electorate and use that to political advantage. And we're stepping in and we're saying, no more games. Time for a mature approach. No more games, and we're going to help you, the people of Manitoba. We're going to give you real price relief that you can notice on a day-to-day basis. 14 cents a litre saved every time you fill up at the pump, and we're going to encourage other industries, especially the grocery stores, to pass those same savings on to you, because we know that they will be realizing savings at the pump as well. So no more games. It's time to help you, the people of Manitoba, in this time of need, and we're going to start by cutting the provincial gas tax.
And you spoke about addressing climate change, about understanding and supporting people's way of life.
Yes.
But you sort of want to change people's way of transporting themselves. Are you planning to do anything about that to help them still live
Absolutely.
lives that give them tools to?
Yeah, that's why prior to making this announcement, we announced our commitment to a rebate for electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids as well. So that's part of the cohesive strategy. But the reality of life in Manitoba today, especially if you live in the suburbs, especially if you live in rural or northern Manitoba, is that you're going to be using gasoline for the foreseeable future. And you need help. You need help right now. And it's my fierce belief that if we give Manitobans the option that doing the environmentally friendly thing is as affordable as the alternative, Manitobans will choose the environmentally friendly approach. But the reality is, in order for us to maintain the public support for addressing climate change, we need to help you right now. And right now, filling up at the pump is one of the biggest price points and pain points that you're feeling on your monthly budget. So this announcement today, it's real help immediately should the Manitoba NDP form government, but it'll be help that you feel day in, day out, week in, week out during this period of high inflation to help you and your family get to the other side of this economic moment.
Gas is also more expensive because of the carbon tax. The PCs would like that to be eliminated.
And so I was also making the comment on Friday about this with an eye towards this announcement as well. In addition to announcing our rebate program for hybrid, plug-in hybrids and electric vehicles, the other commitment that we made on Friday is that Manitobans should get more consideration from the federal government when it comes to the price on pollution, because the reality is we have made sacrifices as Manitobans over the past 50 years to build up a low-carbon electricity grid. We have paid the mortgage on a low-carbon electricity future, and Manitobans should get credit for that. And so I will go to Ottawa and I will negotiate and bring home a better deal. The one thing I won't do, like Heather Stephenson and the PCs, is waste more money on another losing court battle. So I think we have the plan that makes the most sense for the future, that recognizes the tremendous investments that our province has made into hydroelectricity, that knows that we still need to address some of the lingering issues on that front, but also that recognizes that the big looming crisis for most people right now is the cost of living. You're talking about young people who want to buy their first home. You're talking about seniors who want to be able to continue living independently in the community. You're talking about people who are business owners who have been successful relative to most people in our province, but are still feeling the stress and don't know how they're going to make payroll next month. This announcement today is going to help all of us as Manitobans. And it is being designed and delivered with an eye towards the future, preserving the opportunity to continue moving the ball forward so that Manitoba does more than its fair share when it comes to the climate, but make sure that we don't lose anybody along the way with us, because the only way we're going to march forward in this province is if we all do it together. And that's the vision behind the announcement that we're making here today. Let's help on the affordability front so we can keep everyone in this province moving forward as part of our economy and as part of our vision for Manitoba's future. Well, there's a wide range, but the number one most popular vehicle in the province is the Ford F-150. Depending on the model that you have, you're talking about 100 liters to fill up a pickup truck like that each time you go to the pump. So that's $14 in savings every time you visit the gas station. So then the question becomes, how often do you need to pick up the truck? Maybe if you're just, bombing around town from work to school to home, and you live, within a few kilometers of work and school, you gas up once or twice a week. But if you're filling the truck with your crew and you go landscaping and you got to go to the supplier and then to the work site and then to back home and then drive to lunch and this and that, and you're gassing up several times a week, you can just multiply it that many more times 52 weeks in a year. So really, for the average family, we're talking about hundreds, if not thousands of dollars in savings a year. And if you're a business owner, if you're somebody who lives in rural Manitoba, if you're an ag producer, and we're talking about the discount being applied to marked fuel, then your savings may be even higher than that. So this is a significant affordability measure that I would argue eclipses anything that the PCs are talking about. And most importantly, it just cuts out all the games that Heather Stephenson and her team have been talking about. No more games. Real help is on the way from the Manitoba NDP for you and your family. I love it. Keep the questions coming.
We're talking about alternatives. Are you planning to invest anything in public transportation and different things that use cars?
Oh, of course, yeah. And I very much look forward to working with municipal leaders in Winnipeg and Brandon and Thompson and other places towards that goal. But I'm also very live to the fact that there's many people in rural Manitoba for whom transit is not an option. Many people in the north live the same way. Many people in Winnipeg are going to continue driving a car or a pickup for years to come. And we want to continue working with you as part of our province, as part of our economic future. And so not only are we going to cut the gas tax, we're also going to cut the games that Heather Stephenson and the PCs have been playing. No more games, just real help for you and your family to get by during this period of high inflation.
Regarding the PUB province,
Yes.
how often does this happen? Crown corporations do it every year. That's maybe in flux the hydro, but I mean, how would this be an annual thing for these companies? Would it only be when complaints are presented?
No, it would be a regular process, not a complaint-driven process. And you know, if we look at what other jurisdictions have pursued in this area, sometimes it's a quarterly process. But those are the details that we'll work on with you, the people of Manitoba, as well as with business and you know, folks around the province, rural in particular, northern, to make sure that you have a say, because we want to get this regulatory regime right. It's long past time that we address the market failure here. And we give real help to you, the people of Manitoba, who are suffering during this period of high inflation right now. Yeah, if you look at the spread between the price of oil and the price at the pump in Manitoba, there was also a period this past spring and last fall in which there was no movement on oil prices, but Manitobans were paying more at the pump. So yeah, so in addition to some of these ones that I'm saying you can set your watch by, like heading into a long weekend during the summer, there are also times a year where we just see the gas companies charge more and more at the pump, even though the price that they're paying wholesale has not changed. And that is a failure to protect you, the people of Manitoba. And so we want to step in and ensure that you are able to just get by. We're not talking about, you know, anything other than doing what government should have been doing during this period of high inflation, which is to help you, the average person in this province, meet your basic needs. Go to work, take the kids to school, live the life that we're all proud of as Manitobans here in this province. And so where the market has failed and where the PCs and Heather Stephenson has failed, we're going to step in and we're going to take real action to help you. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, well done. Thanks for being here today. Appreciate you sharing your experience, and hopefully this helps. Yeah, really good. I love the enthusiastic, active listening, shall we say?
I was a teacher, so I got it.
Oh, that's the way. Yeah, right on. No, that's great. Yeah, thank you too. Yeah, right on. Yeah, well, thank you very much. Yeah, no, I really appreciate that.
What you need. I don't know how you keep your courage.
Oh, that's very kind of you to say.